that I know who have been prostitutes. Most of them after having children, but not all of them. A lot of the women who offered to help, promised to help, swore they'd help, and did very messed up things were mothers. Many of them were prostitutes. So, Mandy Hughes is one of those web sleuth folks who come on afterwards, after Natalie was dead. I didn't know her from Adam. But she told me her sob story about being a prostitute and how rough it was. Seemed like most of these folks that offered to help, when they got a hold of me, it was more of a, all right, Sean's a therapist, he's a springboard, he's somebody I can tell all my problems. Maybe if I tell him I'll help him, maybe he'll listen to my problems. With some people, it was obvious that they wanted me to speak out about their situation. With others, it was not so obvious. And I had to ask him outright. Here's the thing, I'm going through hell. And when people offer to help me, it's not like I have friends who've actually given a shit through this. So when people offer to help me, I got to take whatever help is offered, right? No, some help is the opposite of help. A lot of people, they offered to help how I needed. I just needed to give this much investment or that much investment. I just needed to do this or just needed to do that. And it's something that's not registering in their head how much that costs. Also, there's a lot of people that were under the impression that I got tens of thousands of dollars right after Natalie died in these GoFundMes that I had made, and I scammed everybody out of their money and blah, 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 blah. No, I didn't make those fucking GoFundMes, stupid. One of them was by Candace Bondurant. The other one was made by Cara Rogers, aka Cara Mia. She's another one of these web sleuth predators. Now, Mandy Hughes has 3 kids, and yeah, she admitted to being a prostitute. Ryan Ingersoll, 2 kids, she's dead. She was a prostitute as well. Her and Amy Kalina Kingery, aka Amy Spencer. She later married a guy named Nathan Kingery. He ended up being one of my predators and his own father's predator. Him and his cousin John ripped his dad off for a lot of money trying to impress them little meth addict girls in Chapel, Nebraska. That was a lot of years ago. Then there's there's surprisingly a lot of women. Natalie Bollinger was a prostitute. According to her, her sister was prostituted as well. According to Samantha Danielle, she was aware of it as well. And everybody was aware that her dad was raping her and beating on her. I mean, it's not like that's a big secret that they kept. No, they told everybody. How many people wondered why it is that she still had him in her life after all of it he had put her through? It don't matter. She's dead. She can't defend herself, and I was never allowed to defend myself. Her sister, and her jealousy issues, and her fucking ignorance and stupidity and selfishness. She wanted to outdo Natalie. Natalie wanted to outdo her, I guess, sort of, but Natalie wasn't in competition. She tried to share everything with her sister. Everything to leave you happy. She always did. How did anyone expect this situation to end up any different? Brittany, she's a young woman I speak about from time to time, and her fucking sicko father. And she was a prostitute. I was in jail with some of her customers in Arapahoe County. Some of my friends in Boulder know her from the circuit, I guess you could call it. She's a mother as well. Now there's people like Miss Peaches, that's Kayla Trujillo. She never told me she was a prostitute. She went a different route. She had kids, and she went and got a job, and that wasn't enough to pay for her and her kids and her husband. So she sold drugs on the side. It was an easy thing to get into once she was an adult and a mother, because that's what she had done down on Pearl Street when she was younger. It was pretty easy to get back into it. She knew all the same people. She knew Ken and Leah. She knew Shauna. She knew Blaine McCrellius. He goes by Freak. A lot of the dealers in Boulder really tie all this in together. Those guys are the real key to this, the real stock of the trade. Morgan Burns, he got his drugs from Todd Ryan Case. And if he didn't, he got it from one of the little runners for Todd Ryan Case. And Todd Ryan Case was running for somebody else. His sister is a Kelly. That's Natalie's mom's maiden name. Kelly. Todd Ryan Case, according to him, he's related to them. And, he had talked to the family. Well, which family members did you talk to? What did they say? And why didn't you ever come out with it to the public, to the courts, to the police? Also, Ted Bollinger, when he ended up getting together with Danica Garner, and also when he ended up getting together with Michelle Shelley Campbell, these are homeless women who were already drug addicts. They were already there. And all Ted Bollinger had to do was feed them drugs. He was dealing it out of the family barber shop on the hill in Boulder, Colorado. Everybody knew about the barber shop. I didn't know that Ted Bollinger worked there, or that it was his family that owned it. At the time, I didn't know who Ted Bollinger was. I didn't know who Natalie and Alicia Bollinger were. I mean, I knew who they were on site. And like, there's a lady at the Starbucks who used to come in every day, and she was very kind and very pleasant to me, always. I still never learned her name. She was was always pleasant to me, and I was always pleasant to her. I was basically the doorman at Starbucks. Not only do I not mind being a gentleman, I really genuinely and honestly like being fucking good to people. I love my friends and I miss them dearly. And they don't understand the correlation between them ignoring me through all this and me not being able or capable of seeing my friends and family without being abused. And that abuse is because although they could have spoken up and told the truth, they never did. They never tried. They never tried to understand. All these web sleuths and the Bollingers and all their friends are fucking pulling all this shit. And I'm reaching out to my friends for help. That's what you're supposed to do. Reach out to your friends for help. Safety in numbers. Fuck, they just wanted to tell me 1,000,001 things to do that are completely useless. But I tried them. I tried doing as they asked. They all got the same fucking suggestions for me to do it alone. And that is the number one thing that you're not supposed to do. Especially if you're a male. Especially if you're disabled. Especially if you're homeless. Never go in alone. Never go in alone. But if nobody cares and you're still being abused, you have to go in alone, right? No. I don't recommend trying the things that I did. I don't recommend trying to follow the law. It doesn't work. I don't recommend going to your friends. If people are threatening to kill your family, make sure they don't get to do that to anyone ever again. That is what I fucking recommend. If you really, truly, and honestly love your family, well, it's worth the rest of your life in prison. I know for goddamn sure it's worth the rest of mine. But I don't believe that it's okay to kill them. If I got to break the law to turn in these predators because my friends and family just simply don't give a shit, well, then I have to break the law to keep my friends and family safe. I'm not just going to let them be fucking harmed and fucking killed. When people tell me that they're going to harm my friends or family, I take that very fucking seriously. And when I say my life doesn't matter, I fucking mean it. My evidence is what matters. Every single effort that I made was thwarted by lies. Every fucking one of them. But these people don't care. They have no conscience. None of you have a conscience. When it comes to somebody who is different, I'm easy to victimize. I'm easy to target. I'm easy to harm. I'm easy to take advantage of. And the more I am taken advantage of, the easier it gets to take advantage of me. The older I get, the easier it is to take advantage of me. You guys got all of your ideas. How about we stop all of this superficial bullshit? You know, if you'd shave your beard, shut up, bitch. What's more important, my beard or the fucking truth? So, Danica Garner and maybe Rose M. Kelly too, I don't know. But Danica Garner and Rochelle Shelley Campbell both admitted to being prostitutes. They both admitted to being drug addicts. And of course, even after Natalie's death, Alicia Bollinger and Ted Bollinger kept fucking around with them drugs. Actually fucking around with them. Whereas I was just being treated like I was on drugs, it being assumed that I was on drugs. And when I'd try to turn in officers, those officers would take me to the hospital and say he's schizophrenic and on drugs, or he's bipolar and on drugs, because they think that makes it okay. It fucking doesn't. A police officer doing that is a police officer who's committing a felony. These officers knew exactly what they were doing. They knew that I was trying to turn them in before they pulled that bullshit. They'd repeatedly committed crime after crime after crime against me to help other people to get away with crimes, blowing me off with the mentally ill treatment. That's why we're supposed to have somebody, a friend or a family member, who actually cares. If I'm this big horrible monster, then why did all these people that I knew for years and years and years before Natalie was fucking killed, who had literally nothing bad to fucking say about me, nothing bad at all, I was good to all of them. When they had problems, they'd come to me about their fucking problems. And no, not all of them, thank goodness. That's a lot of fucking problems to deal with. And then I got my own shit on top of it. And a lot of people want to say, hey, Sean, I got my own shit going on. Well, you know what? Sometimes when your friend is reaching out to you, it's because they are being fucking harmed a lot. If you actually care about them, you will make the time. There's a guy who's a part of this story, and his name is John. John Harder. What an odd name, right? He was married to a friend of mine named Caroline Harder. Caroline and he got a divorce. Well, the funny thing about it is he told her that he was a pimp, and she was laughing about it. She thought it was a joke. Like almost the whole time they were married, she legit thought it was a joke. Like, no, he was a fucking John. He was a John who was a pimp. He absolutely was. When I met him, he was walking down the Pearl Street Mall with a couple of ladies. I asked him how he got into pimp, and he said, well, I had some friends that were prostitutes, and people kept beating them up. He said, I keep my pimp hand strong, but not for the ladies. What he meant by that is what she makes, it's hers. They give him a percentage, and it's a pretty significant percentage of what they make, because their safety is his top concern. He is being paid as a bodyguard. He said to me, you know what, pimping ain't easy. He said sometimes you get one of them ladies that, you know, her friends get her hooked up into it, and they want to get her in because they already know that she's active. They already know that she's trying to make money, and she's doing favors for rich college kids to get favors to make rent. She's leading on nerdy college boys to believe that she's interested in them to try to get a perk here and there. You know, you're basically doing the same thing anyway. And, you know, at least this way, you know that the guy isn't going to get jealous and fucking rape you and kill you. John will protect you. And he did. He fucking did. You're goddamn right he did. But he said, you know, sometimes you get those ladies that they want you to give every single thing to them. And he says, the first few times I'm fine with that. But the other thing is, my time is worth something, and I could be working a real job right now, paying in and getting a 401k. The reason I'm not getting a 401k is because I'm trying to keep them safe. Most of the money that I make off of these ladies goes right back into keeping these ladies safe, keeping them in a job, keeping them in a place to actually stay for themselves. Like, he was paying rent for 3 different apartments just so that these ladies had a place to stay. But the other thing is that these apartments were specifically for his ladies. It was a call house, not to be confused with a trap house. John didn't mess around with drugs. He didn't mess around with ladies who messed around with drugs. He wasn't down with none of that. He was strictly business as far as that went. If you want to do that on your own time, you can do that on your own time. You work on your own time. Like, if you don't want to work, you don't have to work. You don't have to put out. But also, he said, you know, sometimes you got to tell them, hey, here's how it's going to work. The money that you give me gets invested right back into you. The money that you give me helps to keep you and all these other ladies safe. So if you want those ladies to protect you, then you need to pitch in too. That roof that's over your head is paid for by that money. So he said, you know what? There was once in a while that the ladies were not happy. He said, I let them all know what was going on. I let them know who was paying what. Some of them made a lot more money than others, and I didn't go telling them all, you know, who makes the most amount of money. I just let them know who was not pulling their weight and who wasn't pitching in. Like, I seriously missed my calling as a drug dealer or a pimp. These are things that I definitely could have done. I mean, as far as having a temperament for protecting women, absolutely I do. I just am against prostitution. I think that should be a free will thing. If you want to do that with somebody else, yeah. Trading for that with all of the stigma that's attached to that personal part of a woman's anatomy in specific, I mean, we really need to not monetize something that is so horribly demonized. And that seriously results in a lot of trauma. Prostitution is a lot of trauma. The flesh trade in the United States, we are the largest, all right, out of every single nation on the planet, we are the largest human traffickers. 30,000 people, according to San Diego, according to the San Diego government, 30,000 people were trafficked through San Diego alone last year. Now, when it comes to prostitutes, most of the prostitutes that I know are willing participants. Not only willing participants, but specifically sought out that kind of work. If John wasn't there to protect them, they would still be doing that work. The reason that John is there is because if it's just you alone, you're easy to victimize. If John is there, first of all, he's a male. That's intimidating. For a lot of these predators, they seek out prostitutes who are alone. They figure she can't tell if she's dead. But if John's there, she doesn't end up dead. If the ladies decided that there was one of them who wasn't pulling her weight, they could say, hey, we aren't down with that, and we don't want her working. One of the other girls will pick it up. There's a lot of women that I've known in my lifetime who have been prostitutes. A whole lot of them. There's women that I knew from Chapel, Nebraska that I ran into when they were being prostitutes. Colfax used to be famous specifically for male prostitutes. Colfax in Denver, Colorado. Many of y'all may not know that. But now there's prostitutes of every walk of life. You can find male prostitutes, female prostitutes, and a lot of them are peddled. Now, most of our imported flesh trade, that's really the best way to describe it. It's primarily Russians and Hispanic women from south of the border. I'm not going to say Mexican because they're not all Mexican. Matter of fact, most of them aren't. Most of them come from South America. We got quite a few from Cuba. I mean, there are a significant number who are from Mexico, but it's not the overwhelming majority. We've also got the truck stop prostitutes. Many of those started out as... All right, you guys know what trap houses are, right? You know what the den mother is? Or the mother hen? There's a few other names too. Basically, it's usually an older prostitute. Somebody who's been beaten up enough times that they're not pretty anymore, or not desirable, or maybe they just got old and this is the only trade that they know. They've been doing drugs and having sex for money, starting off with being molested as a kid. And for these women, that's what they know. And when there's these girls and they're abducted and they're stolen, I mean, this woman, the den mother, is also a victim of human trafficking. She's done this her whole life because she doesn't have an option. It's not like you can just run away. It's not like you can just leave. And they got these girls in basements, or like the situation with Kevin McGregor. He had girls in his basement, and he also had some girls in his bathroom. That's right across the street from the Camilla shelter there. Right in Cheyenne. Now, some of those girls are locals with a local pimp. But there's also a whole lot of them that were abducted, and they get traded all up and down the eastern and western seaboards, and, well, really all across the nation. The I-90 interchange, that's the tough one. The interchange there, it's the route in between Denver, Colorado, all the way up to Hardin, Montana at the I-90. And I-90 goes along the Canadian border. There's a lot of Native women, and this may seem absurd to you, but there's a reason for it. It's for identification purposes and for ease of operation. If you bring some Native women down from Canada and you trade some American Native women up to Canada, then the people who are trading them, they're not locals. If they get busted, it's, hey, you know, she was obviously, you know, fleeing the United States for some reason. Obviously, she's doing something wrong here. You know, obviously, we need to send her back home. And they're not going to investigate the crime. They're just going to get rid of the person and maybe charge them with a few crimes for prostitution first and make them serve their time and then send them back. And we do the same thing here. I mean, we know what's going on. Our local governments, every single government for every state along the border with Canada is aware that this is going on. But it's not just Native women. Matter of fact, it's not just women at all. There are a lot of men and boys who are traded for the very same thing. We get to see on the news, there's women who speak, and you'll listen to them. You put them on the news, and when they tell you about the corruption of the cops in Colorado, and you listen. You listen because it's a woman. There was a Canadian woman who was a prostitute in Colorado, forced prostitution. And many of her clients were police officers. Now let's get back to the den mother. What's her job? Her job is to, when you're abducted from wherever you're taken from, some of them are taken right off the streets. Most of them are taken right off the streets. You see a pretty girl out there. She's an addict. She's out there with her road dog. Road dog is that's what we call either a dog that's on the road to protect you, literally a dog, or a male companion who protects you, similar to a pimp, except that you're not a prostitute. You're not out there having sex. You're just needing a male companion to keep you from getting beaten up or raped to death. Now, sometimes you get into a fight with that guy because you've decided that you're interested in somebody. The road dog is supposed to be a friend and nothing more. If they're a boyfriend, they're a boyfriend. That's not a road dog. But they do give you and offer you some protection because it's more than one of you. That's no guarantee that they won't be a perpetrator themselves. Now, when you get a road dog that decides that he's going to ditch you because maybe he found a woman who wants to touch his parts, or maybe he's your road dog because you know he's not interested in you because he's gay, and you understand he found a boy and he wants to go spend some time, or found a male companion, I should say. And that's when she's easy to pick up and easy to yank off and easy to, well, if she puts up too much of a struggle and you accidentally kill her, who's going to miss her? That road dog will come back, and chances are that he's not even going to try making a report because he already knows he's not going to be heard. But probably about 5 to 10% of the time, the road dog will go into the police station and try to turn it in, and he'll get blown off, and he'll be like, dude, she fucking left in San Francisco. I don't know what the fuck happened. The den mother, when they bring these girls in, some of them are addicted to drugs, and it's pretty easy to put them out the door immediately and put them to work, because you just make them go a couple of days without, and then you promise them that if they put out, then they can have some. They'll ask if they can have some first. You promise them if they're a good girl. And the den mother, she comforts them afterwards and beforehand and tells them, I'm sorry it's like that. And she tells a few of her horror stories about why she's afraid. And of course the girls hear that and they know to be afraid. And when she administers the drugs to them, a lot of times they don't want it. They know that they're going to be held down and injected with the drugs either way. I mean, they're known to strap girls down to a bed for a week or more. No change of clothes, not unstrapping them. If you've ever been strapped down, you know that after a couple of hours, your muscles start to tense up, and they start to hurt a lot, and they start to cramp up. It is excruciating pain. And then, of course, you're surrounded by strangers who are standing over you, putting drugs in you, and you got this crazy old lady who's talking nice to you, but she's not doing nothing good. And then once you're addicted, they try to wean you off of it just a little bit. I mean, getting a girl who's who's fresh and clean, stolen from her parents' house where she had a good home. That doesn't happen very often. They generally target poor people and street people. But just because you're a poor people or a street people doesn't mean that you do drugs. And they still have to get them addicted so that they have the guarantee that girl will come back. And also so that they have the ability to say, dude, she's on fucking drugs. She'll say anything. And the sad fact is, we all know women and girls who are on drugs who will say anything. So it's a believable fucking story. Most of these girls, you know how they end up getting out of human trafficking? They're arrested for prostitution. I've had several women that I know tell me that they got busted and got out of human trafficking because they got lucky. A guy came in and had sex with them. And after he was done, he arrested her. When he arrested her, he was able to have her put in jail. When she was put in jail, she was, of course, treated like she was crazy no matter what she said. She was a prostitute who was on drugs. Nobody gives a fuck what she's got to say. Just like nobody gave a fuck what Natalie had to say when she was telling on her actual predators. But she also wanted her drugs, and she wanted her family to love her. And she didn't care who fucking died because of it. Brenda Dickinson has been a prostitute. That sucks to say. You know, when she did the Sand Hills Crisis Intervention Program, I was so glad. I thought, you know what, nobody better than somebody who's lived through hell. Being raped by your own dad repeatedly. Your mom doesn't care. Brenda Dickinson and her mom later did have a better relationship, and her mom died after Natalie was killed. Mama Marlene was the lady that really helped Brenda Dickinson out, though. Brought her out of that life. Brenda Dickinson is a lot like me. She's not interested in sex. She doesn't like sex, doesn't like the idea of sex. Her experience with sex growing up was nasty enough and gross enough that she just is fucking completely traumatized by even the idea of sex. But she doesn't tell her husband that. She puts herself through a traumatic experience. She didn't even want to get married to Dennis Dickinson. She got married to him because his family kept on pestering her to marry him. You know, you should just get married. You know, you should just get married. You know, you should just get married. But then she's kind of religious. She thinks that it is her duty as a wife to do her wifey duties, even if it's traumatic. You know how weird it is for me that, alright, she was basically my therapist there. She was also my pot dealer. One of them, anyway. And, you know, when I would go to talk to her, she'd tell me about how, while her husband's fucking her, she relives being raped by her dad. So she has sex with her husband once a month out of duty. I'm hoping I'll get a call this morning. I think yesterday I got one around 9 o'clock. I'm not going to keep your secrets. It's just not going to happen. You know, I made a video before Natalie was killed where I explained that. Keeping your secrets is helping the predators to get away. With most of you, I didn't keep your secrets, and the one whose secrets that I did keep, I didn't do intentionally. I wholeheartedly planned on showing every goddamn thing that I have when none of you would do family or friend shit. You wanted to linger around and pretend like you give a shit long after your potential usefulness has already expired. Long after you've already shown that you're not a friend and you don't give two shits what happens to me. You should have left on your own. I don't owe it to you to keep your secrets. If I weren't stuck in the situation that I've been stuck in, well, all your stuff would be up already. There's many of you who I'm just too fucking nice. I want to believe that you're not full of shit. Tell you, hey, it's been 6 fucking years. Either you come forward or I post it publicly. Basically, here's what it comes down to. You tell the truth or I show the truth. If you tell the truth, well, it would be easier for me showing the truth after you tell it. And here's why. Here's why that's good for you and good for me. If you tell the truth to the public, I got the evidence to back it up. You told the truth. But if I have to show that I told the truth, you're going to throw a tantrum. You're going to be angry. You're going to pretend like I stabbed you in the back, like I did some horrible thing by telling the truth. When in reality, it's your shame. You should have stopped and realized what the fuck you were doing. There's a lot more women that I know who have admitted to being prostitutes. No, I don't feel the need to go telling you every single name of every single prostitute that I've ever met. One of my friends, let me tell you, this oh, that's swell of me to spill my coffee all over myself. Now, this woman has since left my Facebook. She left when Natalie died. But there was a guy who was a friend of mine. And he thought that me getting laid was going to fix all of my problems, which was exactly the opposite. He just wasn't fucking listening. Through my entire life, people have gone out of their way not to understand that when you are called mentally ill, you have to have a family or friend who fucking cares. If not, anyone can do anything to you at any point in time. Now, yes, males are more susceptible to this than women because people don't care about men, and mental illness in a woman we're supposed to feel sorry for. Mental illness in a man we're supposed to be afraid of, even if it's exactly the same mental illness. If you've got a man who's schizophrenic, you're supposed to be afraid of him. If you've got a woman who's schizophrenic, you're supposed to feel sorry for her. If you got a man who's delusional, you're supposed to be afraid of him. When you've got a woman who's delusional, you're supposed to feel sorry for her. When you've got a man that's depressed, you're supposed to be afraid of him because he's depressed. But when you got a woman who's depressed, you're supposed to feel sorry for her because she's depressed. This sexism is taught and learned. Also, the words that you say versus what you show, they don't match up. And that's what you're teaching your kids. You're teaching your kids, do as I say, not as I do. And they're doing the same thing to everyone else. It's okay for me to have a different set of rules for me than for everyone else, just like my parents do with me. They're allowed to curse and I'm not. You tell your kids not to lie, and then they find out about Santa Claus and the Keister Bunny. Those are just little white lies, right? Well, that right there is not the beginning of their mistrust for you. That's not the first time that you'll bullshit them in their lives, not the last time either. And the thing is, these are your kids. They want to trust you. They should be able to trust you. Of all people, you're the one person or two people as parents that they should be able to trust. But you get to see with me, I couldn't trust my parents. With Natalie Bollinger, she couldn't trust her parents. Amy Kalina Kingery's kids couldn't trust their parents. Rand Ingersoll's kids couldn't trust their parents. Amy Witcher's kids couldn't trust their parents. There's an awful lot of kids that can't trust their parents. Their parents are the most likely reason for them committing suicide. When someone is being abused and no matter what, you blow them off by saying, oh, well, you're mentally ill, you're mentally ill, you're mentally ill. You'd be hard-pressed to find anybody in the United States that does not fit the criteria for at least one of the diagnoses in the DSM-5, which, by the way, is used worldwide. Worldwide, that's right, it's an American book used worldwide for diagnoses. Great Britain, France, Germany. But meanwhile, the people who diagnosed me were predators that I was trying to turn in. They knew I was trying to turn them in, and they're not qualified to make such a diagnosis. A rotten sheriff that I'm trying to turn in because he repeatedly broke the law, resulting in people being dead, and he thought he'd get away with it because I went in alone. I always had to go in alone. At the beginning, I didn't have the ability to record, but once I had the ability to record, my God, you poor bastards. But they're lucky, because nobody actually cares. They're pretty fucking words. I'm here instead of over at Starbucks, because I'm waiting for a call that's probably not going to happen. But it could. I'm running out of gas. Trying to keep myself warm though. There's a lot of people that I know that were prostitutes. Some of them because they were drug addicts. Some of them because they wanted to feed their kids. There's a lot of different reasons for it. And not every woman out there peddling her flesh is trafficked. But a lot of people want to use that as an excuse to ignore all of it and pretend that all prostitutes want to do that. Pretend that all prostitutes chose that as a profession. Not all of them did. There is a rather significant number of women who did not. There's a few women like Desiree. Desiree was a prostitute. She was also the den mother there in Kevin McGregor's trap house right across from the Mia shelter there in Cheyenne, Wyoming. I did make multiple calls, and I made sure that they were recorded on my YouTube channel as well, to the sheriff's department there as well as the police station in regards to Mr. McGregor. No one ever got back to me. That's what happens when you're a homeless male. When it comes to making a missing persons report, you have to have somebody else who's in a house who cares. That's what it comes down to, folks. Nobody cares about the homeless. Most of the homeless here, just like anywhere else, the reason that they won't try to help somebody else is because it doesn't work when they go in by themselves. And because they had to go in by themselves because nobody would help them, they just assume that it doesn't work. Well, I've seen it work. I was there when all of us went down. All of us victims of Officer French in Boulder, Colorado, went down to the police annex and complained. They removed that son of a bitch from the mall. There was no reason for him to be victimizing homeless people the way that he was, and there was no reason for him to be breaking the law and arresting people who were not breaking the law. Oh, that's nastiness. Oh. There's a lot of people that I've known in my lifetime that were prostitutes. There's a lot of people who admitted to being prostitutes. Amanda Ingline admitted to being a prostitute. Well, she was an exotic dancer, but I mean, really, she didn't make much in tips. So it's a good thing that girls shared tips. But yeah, she's one of the backroom girls that you really hope for. One of the ones that people go in there and they'll pay a few extra dollars for some time in the back room. And what's the back room for? It's not for lap dances. They have an area for lap dances. You could ask Amanda how awkward that was for me. Like, here's this girl that I've known since she was pretty small, or at least I knew who she was. She was about my little brother Michael's age. I already knew that she was a drug addict, that she was addicted to meth. I already knew that she had been a prostitute. There's a lot of stuff that I knew about her before I ended up going through all this shit. They're not just random people who I picked up on the internet. People who saw these web sleuth groups and decided to play head games. One of the great things about many of these predators who are playing head games is that I've got the evidence. And some of the evidence was lost, but thank goodness those idiots were dumb enough to get themselves recorded and put on the fucking internet. Be true to your word. There's people like Dan Fabert and Layla Johnson, Kara Johnson Miles, Cara Rogers. These are all web sleuths. And although the police knew that they were doing what they were doing, the police looked away, turned a blind eye, didn't care, and neither did my friends. They were too busy telling me what to do, what to think, and what to feel. Well, fuck you, that ain't a friend. When I'm being abused and you're too busy giving suggestions and unsolicited advice and making assumptions that they're fucking incredibly stupid. There's common sense, and then there's the way that you guys act when you don't actually care. When you just pretend to give two shits. Or a shit. If somebody has to beg you to care, you don't care. It isn't that I didn't reach out for help, it's that nobody fucking cared. when I hurt my back and I could no longer do things for people for free all the fucking time. Holy shit, it was, man, it was nonstop. People assumed that because I was homeless, I had all the time in the world to help them. They didn't understand that I had to do a lot of shuffling to try to help them. And then I got people who waste my time. Like Claire, she wasted my time a lot and didn't keep her word and didn't keep her word. And then she wanted to show up at random while I'm at another. And see, I already knew that was going to happen. I'd already spoken about it earlier, even that week, about how somebody will tell me that they'll help me with something on Monday, and somebody else is going to help me on Tuesday, and somebody else is going to help me on Wednesday. And the Monday person cancels, but they're going to try to find another date and they leave it open. Tuesday person cancels, but they're going to try to find another date where they're open. Wednesday's appointment cancels, but they're going to find a day to do it when they're open. They'll find a time in their schedule. So then, of course, Thursday rolls around, nobody reschedules. Friday, I've already got an appointment with someone else who's going to help me. And right when I sit down with that person to help me, I've got the Monday appointment and the Tuesday appointment both calling me. And the Wednesday appointment is showing up where I'm at and wanting to help me with this stuff right away while she's got 30 minutes to spare, 45 minutes to spare. And instead of doing any of that, she's busy chit-chatting and talking about herself non-fucking stop to the other person who is going to help me, who is obviously not helping me because she's chit-chatting with the other lady who is going to help me, and neither one of them are helping. So now my helper who is going to help isn't helping because she is being distracted by somebody else who is going to help me earlier in the week. It's not her scheduled time. It's not her appointment. She's only got a short amount of time, and she's literally wasting our time by not shutting the fuck up about herself. If you came here to help me, then help me. Don't distract the people who I'm paying for help, or the people who are witnesses to a situation, who have agreed to sit down and help me to turn this in. Don't destroy that opportunity that I have after you've repeatedly not shown up. Everyone does this to me. Everyone. I'm fine with you having a boyfriend. I'm fine with you having a girlfriend. I'm not fine with making all of this investment for empty promises for a whole bunch of people who are never going to keep their word, who are wasting what precious time and resources that I fucking have. Don't bullshit me. Help me or go the fuck away. Stop ripping me off. Stop taking advantage of me. Stop being so goddamn selfish and telling me that it's my fault and calling me selfish. Stop projecting at me, or I will project back at you. I can down on you and belittle you and berate you and make horrible assumptions and twist your words into horrible shit. I am fully capable of playing fucking full retard. Isn't that the saying from that comedy, Tropical Thunder? You never go full retard? Here's the thing, is that these people who are going out of their way to misinterpret what I'm typing are intelligent people. If I send all of the messages between me and another person to somebody who's interested, and I ask them, hey, what's your opinion of this situation? Well, it seems to me, they sent you a message in 2018, and that was back in January 3rd. What was going on at that point in time? What's your opinion just reading it? Seems to me like they were offering to help, and you sent them a bunch of information they were going to look at, and then they ignored you for
wow, that's a really long, like 2 years, 3 years, wow. And these are your friends, you say?
Yeah, yeah, that's what I said.
It looks to me like she's wasting your time, and well, my recommendation is to move on and get better friends.
Okay, cool. Well, she's also a witness. That's pretty fucking important.
I don't know what to tell you, bud.
Cool. Well, thanks for the opinion. That's what I was asking for as far as you was taking a look at.
Who's this? Who's this dead chick?
That's a question I get asked a lot too. From people I know. People who I have reached out to repeatedly since before Natalie was killed. Want to ask me that.
Well, I don't remember that.
Well, scroll up in our messages, you'll see it. If that doesn't work, I can tag your name in the post where I already put it up 6 months ago. I don't make you do the horrible shit that you do or the illegal shit that you do. When you're being harmed, I do my best to protect you. Before Natalie was killed, like just before Natalie was killed, Jamie Curtis, she's been a prostitute as well, she called me up and said, "You need to fix it. You need to fix this, Sean." Fix what? Exposing James Payton with your words? If those things weren't true, you shouldn't have told me those things. You told me those things because you wanted to manipulate me. Well, you sure as shit manipulated me. You made me afraid for your life by telling me how afraid you were for your life over and over and over again. Telling me that you were afraid of being in the same town as James. See, Jamie told me that, and this is what we had agreed upon. This is after I'd left Virginia, and this is when I made the Michelle Brannick profile, because I was going to erase my Facebook profile before committing suicide. Well, it wouldn't let me do that, and I didn't want Joanna Taylor Smith able to take everything that I'd typed and use it as fuel to have Natalie and Alicia Bollinger harmed, and Maddie Boa too. Because, yeah, Joanna Taylor Smith said some things that, see, I needed to get a court date. I didn't need people saying that they were going to hurt people. That just made it worse. And you can see since Natalie's death how my helpers wanting to talk about shooting people and killing people, how fucked up that gets me in the head. Like, can we try the legal route, please? Somebody, can we at least try it together like I'm supposed to? Like the instructions say to? No, you guys all know better than I do. I must be retarded because I'm autistic. I must not know what the fuck I'm talking about because I'm autistic. Right? That's the way you fucking treat me. I must have chose this or deserve this because I'm homeless. And predators, they always want to do that, don't they? They want to say, oh, he chose to be that way. He chose to be homeless. And you guys will look away from all abuse after that. Oh, he chose to be that way, and I'm going to take your word for it. Proceed. You can victimize him all you want now because you said that he chose this. That magically makes it okay and fine for you to do these things. Yeah, what fucking friends those are, huh? And I'm supposed to feel bad for the prostitutes. I get that. I'm supposed to feel bad for them. I'm not supposed to feel bad for the male victims, just the female ones. And we push this so heavy, we're supposed to care, we're supposed to care, we're supposed to care. You guys don't care until it happens to one of your loved ones. Well, guess what? Natalie Bollinger wasn't the first of my loved ones to disappear. My little sister disappeared in 2012. Brittany Richmond disappeared in 2014. Sarah Rubiolo disappeared in 2014. Hannah Pendergrass disappeared in 2014. Now, although not all of those people were my friends, they were all people that I knew when they disappeared, and they're all people that I helped to find. I didn't know Sarah Rubiolo's name. The way that I knew Sarah Rubiolo, the way that I remembered who she was, is that she was the little girl who was underneath the Pigeon Ship Bridge by the Boulder Public Library in a bra and panties, drunk as a fucking skunk, messing around with a couple of boys that ought not to have been there, ought not to have touched her, and definitely were not young enough for that to be appropriate. Well, they might have been. They might have been. I ain't gonna say that they were grown-ass adults, because I don't know that for sure. What I do know is that a guy who was even smaller than me, and this is something that you guys need to remember about those of us who grew up in the system. We grew up a brutal life, and we know a lot about violence. We remember what hurts, and we remember how to use it. This guy's name is Bug Out, and he's been in the news because he's the guy in Boulder, Colorado who stabbed a guy for giving him shitty pants. The guy gave him a pair of pants, and the pair of pants was covered in shit. So, Bug Out fucking stabbed him. The guy thought it was fucking hilarious until he was fucking shanked, now didn't he? Aren't you glad that I didn't go that route? When Sarah Rubiolo was under there, she was underage, she was in a bra and panties, and cops won't take a fucking report from a hobo. Yeah, I sent Bug Out over there. I didn't, send him over there. I was trying to let people know what was going on. Bug Out got the fucking hint right away. He grew up in the system, he ain't fucking stupid, and he read it right off. By the time I got it explained, he'd already gone back there, taken care of the situation, and come back. Or damn near, anyway. So Sarah Rubiolo, when did she drop me as a friend? Years and years and years after Natalie's death. After Sarah Rubiolo didn't come forward about the fact that I did reach out to her for help. I did tell the truth about her, and I did tell true stories. I let her know that I had to post everything up on the internet for the world to see, because I'm being victimized by the public over lies that she knew were lies. She could have come forward at any time, but she never did. She never tried. She didn't care. When I let her know that I told the story about Bug Out going under there, under the Pigeon Ship Bridge, when she was in her bra and panties, drunk as a fucking skunk, that's when she blocked me. Yeah, I'll tell the truth about you. Natalie isn't the only person that I've known who disappeared since then either. Her sister, Alicia Bollinger, has disappeared on 3 separate occasions. And these friends and family of hers, who hated me, still reached out to me. And of course, while they're asking me to try to help find her, I've got people who are literally threatening to kill me and threatening to kill my family again. But nobody gives a fuck. You're allowed to threaten to kill me. You're allowed to assault me. You're allowed to beat me up. You're allowed to rape me. You are allowed to do whatever the fuck you want to me because of the term mentally ill, and because I don't have friends or family who give a fuck. I never did. If I had, Natalie Bollinger would still be alive. When it comes to human trafficking, it's important to know your shit. You guys think you know better than us. You assume that we're all on drugs, all fucking retarded. You assume that we're all drug dealers or drug addicts, all rapists or child molesters. Meanwhile, you guys are projecting Your predators bullshit onto us because we're easy to victimize. You're no better than a serial killer. You are no better than a serial killer. You are no better than a cop. When things don't go your way, you take it out on a homeless person. A homeless person needs to do what you say because you know better than them because they must be retarded because they're homeless. Jesus fucking goddamn Christ, what kind of a world did I walk into? And no, I'm not fucking nice. I was nice, and I kept your fucking secrets, and it got people killed. Fuck your secrets. I don't give a holy goddamn who you are. I would sell out my own mother to rescue a child from abuse. That's not a lie. I actually did. I told on my mother to stop child abuse. It didn't work. She still helps actual rapists and actual child molesters get away, and it's nasty. Good to be rid of you. Thanks for coming to visit. Stay out of trouble or don't get caught. Remember, you are your brother's keeper, and no victim left behind.